Carl from CWD, just at a pond in Newcastle-under-Lyme, inside at the moment. Just about to install this piece of glass. So it's two 300 by 600, just over 100 kilograms. Customers decided that they want me to do it with them, so we're happy for them to be involved. They've cut into the block work, so there's a recess rather than insulating this side, because I think they trusted it sitting on the block more, which is fine. And you don't have to have these packers or anything, but for peace of mind, there's no harm in having them there whatsoever. So next stage is going to be, we're going to get the glass inside here first, because there's not much of a lift. There's only about a 40-50 centimetre lift, so that's why we've put this little ramp here. Using our wheels, we'll wheel it over there, get it inside, obviously try and not fall down the bottom drain, and then we'll have the piece of glass lay across there, and then we'll just lift it up and push it in after we've put the sealant on here. So I'm going to set the camera up on the tripod. Yes, please. Thank you. No, I'm alright for ice, thanks. Okay. So, yeah, go on. Alright, so we've got the piece of glass in the pond. So you can see it's 600mm high piece of glass, so it's not got that much of a lift. So if it was, the window gap was up here, then we'd do it from outside with two people in and two people out. But with this, it's 100 kilos, which is just over what you should really do with two people, but as long as you do it carefully, it should be fine. So we recommend two people for every 85 kilograms. That's what we legally have to advise you, but it's your piece of glass, you can do it how you like, and most people do. So what we've got to do now is, in this rebate, we're going to put the glass in, and then the liner's going to be going afterwards. We're going to put sealant all the way around here. So I'm just going to do that. So the sealant goes on here, and then this customer's decided he wants it to sit on packers. So this little rebate here where he's cut it out, we'll just do a line of sealant up there just to seal that gap, and then we'll do 4 blobs of sealant there, probably about 6 or 8 blobs on the bottom, and then another 4 to 5 here. We'll just kind of play it by ear. When you're doing the blobs, you want to do them nice and chunky and have them coming out a bit, so when you push the glass on, the glass isn't actually touching the block, it's being held in by the sealant. Let me out. Alright, so which side do you want to go on? Don't mind. Do this in the middle. it towards there, and then slide it towards me. Yeah, just slide it towards me, we're not lifting it yet.
Almost level.
Yeah, so and then just push it towards the wall, just so you can kind of line it up. Then you can go in. That's alright. No problem.
Okay.
So, just got to make sure we're both lifting at the same time, so it's parallel to the floor.
Okay.
We don't want it like this, otherwise it won't fit in the gap. So, what we normally do is have it tilted out slightly, we get the bottom in, and then we slowly push it in the top. Because then we know we've not got the problem with it being off angle. So, just make sure that wherever the suction holders are, you're comfortable. Just lift them up this high. So, are you comfortable with them? Yeah, so you're going to grab both holders, or?
I'll just do one.
It's a 3, 2, 1, and then just pull the bottom in gently. Yeah. And then slowly push it up. And then look at the bottom.
Yeah.
Can you see the brickwork on your side?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, that's in there.
Yeah.
So then grab your clamp, shove that on. Don't tighten it too much because the bottom will push out. All you're doing is just stopping it tilting out. Okay. I'll put this clamp on. Oh. Okay, so these clamps, you don't want to put one too tight, because if you tighten it too much, this bottom edge can come out, and if you've not got as good a rebate as this, you can actually push the glass out off the step. As you can see there, the more I do that, the more the bottom can potentially push out. So we can see that the blobs of sealing are all squished. So in 10 minutes, if we took the clamps off, I'm pretty confident that you'd be able to take the clamps off. You won't need them, but we'll leave them there anyway for the customer's peace of mind. Okay, so we've just got the box welded liner ready to go in. We're going to put some underlay on the floor first, just getting the last few bits of dust and things off the floor. Then we don't cut anything like the underlay or anything until everything's in there. I'll show you how to do that. It's a bit of a scary bit, but the box welded liner, it rolls out to normally to the longest length of the pond. So the longest length is front to back in this one, so I'm going to go to the other side and roll it down this way. Then I'm going to get my shoes off, jump in the pond, and start tucking it into the bottom corners. So once you've got it in and unravelled, you step into it, and then you kind of imagine you're jumping in a sack. You sort of kind of jump it into each corner, and then you get it over the sides. We're going to clamp the front side because we want it to be as flush as it can for the window, and then we'll get blocks on the back corners, pull that on the cope, and we've got a nice big flange. We've got 250mm flange on this one, so there's plenty of liner for us to be holding it down with blocks and stuff. So I'm going to get a couple of blocks ready so I'm not messing around trying to find things while I'm inside, and then it's going to be a case of cutting out the bottom drain and cutting out the window. 1%. So that's what it looks like when you've installed a box welded liner. No 2 hours messing about with creases as it fills up or anything, or even days depending on how big your pond is. Okay, so we've got the scary bit now. We've got the bottom drain to cut out. So once you've gone round and oh bloody hell, that's a bit of hot liner that in the sun. Once you've gone round and made sure that you can whack your feet in all the corners on the floor like so, you know that the water isn't stretching the liner at any point, then you're ready to crack on and cut the liner. So this is a scary bit, but you just need to do it. You can't mess about. So the way that I do it, I've got underlay under there as well. You just cut from one end to the other. So that's one end, that's the other. And then you doing this one-handed as well, that's how easy it is. And then you just follow the circle of the bottom drain. Now the underlay we're going to cut, you can either tuck that back or you can actually cut it off the flange. I prefer to cut it off the flange because I don't like having a little bump under there. And then once you've got your half moon cut out, I will neaten this up obviously because I'm doing it with one hand, I don't normally do. But then you can see there's your bottom drain. There's where the exit is, and that's where your standpipe goes. So I'm just going to cut the rest of this, and I'm going to show you. I will lift this up and just cut the underlay off, because you don't want the underlay there, because that's going to prevent it waterproofing properly. Right, so once you've cut the underlay, which I'm using as knee pads now to protect my knees from the sun, because it really gets this liner hot. Forgot about that. It's not been sunny that much recently, has it? Alright, so now we've got 2 layers of underlay here, and I want to cut that off. So you can either score it and then fold it back, or you can just cut it. So the way I do it is just simply lift the liner up, get the knife in there. You can normally feel the edge of the flange and just cut around that. Okay, so pretty much cut it all now. You can see I've just cut around, and all you can see, I don't know if you can see there actually, block the sun. So yeah, you got underlay around the flange. So once I've cut this little bit off, then we just make sure this is clean and whack a nice big fat bead of MS sealant on there. So I've gone round and got a nice thick bead of sealant all the way around on that flange. Then you press the liner down onto it, and you should see it squishing out the middle. Now, I'm convinced you don't need to use the screws, but we still do. I will do on my own pond when I redo that and see how that goes. So now it's just a case of getting the liner flange, putting that on top, and then you need to, I use an impact driver set on the lowest settings so we don't have it on full whack impact, and then I've got a 4mm bit just to drill through the plastic and then screw in one of these screws. So I'm going to get the flange plate, which already has some holes in it. So what you're going to do is just, because some people use long drill bits, so what we say is make sure that these holes are either side of the 4-inch pipe, because we've had it before where the customer has used a massive drill bit and drilled through the 4-inch pipe, then had to replace the whole bottom drain. So learn from them and space these apart, and don't use a drill bit longer than you need to. The screws are only this long, so you don't need a 10-inch drill bit or anything to drill through it. So the next stage is whack a load of sealant on this and then put it on there like that, and then you drill one hole, get the screw in, opposite side, drill that hole, get the screw in, and then you just go around drilling and then getting the screws in, and you should see sealant squeeze out of both sides. If you don't worry, you're going to cut this excess bit of liner away anyway, and then you can put a bead sealant around the edges. We've never really had any problem with bottom drains leaking from the flange, because we always use too much sealant. What we use is half the cost of gold label, so we say just use twice as much and you know you're safe, and that's what we do in our installations as well, because it's not worth redoing these. So yeah, just use a nice, the same as we advise on pond windows, nice thick bead all the way around, because even if there's too much it's going to squeeze out the sides, and then you just grab it all up. Okay, so we've got the bottom drain cut out, screwed in, flange on. That's just a case of this window. So just make sure that everything's going to be nice and flush. So shut the toolbox down, don't need that. Right, so the glass is behind here. So there's the glass. So what we're going to do is, you can feel this on the other side of the liner here, you should be able to actually see it. So I can feel that little gap that's there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feel that as I go down with a Stanley blade and cut it about here. So we've got about 3 centimetres of it done. So I'm just going to clamp him back on there. So yeah, it's a case of, you can feel this, you know that the coping end's there, so you don't want to see all that really. I'm going to put this clamp a bit higher up onto one side. So yeah, so I'm going to cut it. Feel that there, I'm going to cut it there. Right, so we've cut away the liner, as you can see. There's a big hole where it used to all be liner, now it's glass. So we've done it so we can glue it, and you're not really going to be able to see it from outside. So this bit of liner will be like up there. So what we do is we do a bead of sealant all the way around, fill this little gap, because you don't like the little gap. And then we do a bead of sealant on the glass itself, like here, a couple of centimetres in, and then we push it on, and then we push it out until we see it peeping out here. So we've done the filling gap, and we've done the nice thick beads. Don't know if you can see how thick it is, but we've basically cut the tube as fat as it'll go and gone all the way around. Now it's a case of putting the liner on that bead. So people forget that you need to make sure water can go into that corner. So you start there, put your foot in the bottom, your hand in the top, and then you just squeeze the bead. It's nice and hot today, so it's quite fluid, this stuff. You don't need to squish it down to nothing like a silicone, just so you know it's in contact by a centimetre or more, and you'll be absolutely fine. So you don't need to keep dabbing, you can just run your thumb down. As long as you can see that sealant is coming out there, you know that it's in contact with liner and glass all the way around then. And that's all you're bothered about. And it gives it a nice finish as well. And then at the bottom, you need to lift the liner up a bit. So I can't do that with two hands, so I'm going to go and come back and show you what I've done. Okay, so window has been installed. So as you can see, we've got block, then glass, and then liner. For some think this is controversial, but it's just simply the new way that we do it. And we've never had a leak this way. We have had leaks the other way with sandwiching it, because you get creases in the corners. You get a better finish. So yeah, we just find it easier to do, because you install the glass as you saw earlier in the video, if I've not made it into a separate video. And there you can see in here is your sealant onto the back of the glass. So some people convinced it won't work, but I can guarantee they've not done it this way, so they've got no idea whether it works or not. But I can tell you from experience, it definitely does work, and we've currently got 100% success rate. I'm not arrogant enough to think that that's always going to be the case, because I'm sure there's going to be a mistake made on one of them. But yeah, that's how we install them now.
Policy, we anticipated there'd be legal challenges, and British judges agreed for the flights to go ahead. What we found is a maximum